If you want the Browns to beat the Bengals, like today's video, because YouTube's going to email me a list of everyone that liked the video, and I know whose door to knock on if Monday morning comes around and things did not go well the day before. So don't jinx it. Don't be that guy. Like the video. This is the most important season in Cleveland Browns history. We can cut no corners. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson and the offense on today's show as we get set for week one with the Chiefs and the Lions kicking things off tonight. And we're going to discuss whether or not the Browns offense is legit. Is that a stock to buy into? Or are we all suckers for training camp and preseason highlights? I don't think that's the case. But we'll also run through some injury news really quickly, which is Denzel Ward back at practice, still limited, but it's an encouraging sign to see him play, and that's pretty much the most notable name of the bunch. And then at the end of the show, we're going to run through the entire schedule, and I'll hand out wins and losses because I know you guys are addicted for schedule prediction videos. But Deshaun Watson said there will be fireworks after the preseason finale against Kansas City. Watson was very confident about what the dog pound can expect out of this offense, and there's been a lot of really good buzz from training camp going all the way back to West Virginia and then through 4 preseason games, a joint practice. Sure, it wasn't all glamorous all the time, but overall, I felt like there was a lot of good things and a lot of good press that came out, which usually local reporters, the beat reporters, they want to be upbeat. They want to be positive. No one wants to be doom and gloom in August. But by and large, I would say there was a lot of positivity that came out regarding Deshaun Watson and this offense. Now, he's got all the weapons at his disposal, right? Just exclude Deshaun Watson for a moment. Nick Chubb, I would say, without a doubt, a top 3 running back in the NFL lining up behind him. Amari Cooper, not even all reliable, just reliable. He is a go-to guy. Speaking of go-to guys, we've spent a lot of time talking about Elijah Moore and David Njoku this summer. How about Donovan Peoples-Jones, someone that Deshaun Watson targeted a bunch down the stretch at the end of last year? And then you get that need for speed from Elijah Moore, who's just going to be lining up all over the place and will be a nightmare for defensive coordinators. And finally, tight end David Njoku, who might have had the best camp of anyone on screen right now. So there is every single club in Deshaun Watson's bag to be successful this year when it comes to the offensive line. Look at his running back stats here from Nick Chubb. I mean, 4 straight years of over 5 yards a carry, never going below 5 yards a carry. 4 straight seasons of over 1,000 rushing yards, and his wide receivers coming off very strong seasons. Amari Cooper was, injured last year when Watson took over from Brissett, so the two of them never really got that big, great connection. But despite that, Cooper with a casual 1,100-yard, 9-touchdown season. DPJ just chiming in with 839 yards, like that's no big deal for a wide receiver 2/3 in a run-first offense last year. And then Elijah Moore, sure, the stats aren't glamorous, but he was also working with Zach Wilson and an offensive coordinator who's been fired since then. So I'm optimistic that Elijah Moore is going to kind of get back on track. And then finally, you've got David Njoku, who has never had that breakout year. And let's be honest, we are past the point of David Njoku having a breakout season, but he put up some really good numbers last year up until he got hurt. So if we get not even just 17 healthy games from the Chief, but if we get 14 or 15 games, I'm optimistic that he can put up some really big numbers. Ultimately, everyone is talking about Deshaun Watson. He's the wild card. He's the X factor. We have no idea what to expect out of Watson, and if he does well, the Browns will do well. I'm going to push back on that for a moment. I think Kevin Stefanski is the ultimate wild card here. Now, I know that Deshaun Watson did not have the best 6-game stretch last year, but for those of us, and we all did, watch every single quarter of all 6 games and not the national media that just found highlights on Twitter, we would know, and we do know, that Watson had some really good quarters. He had some really good throws, and that's chump change. That's not going to actually get wins into the win column, but that is encouraging to believe that he can put it together after being off for 700 days and snap back to that Pro Bowl form. But Kevin Stefanski, on the other hand, he's the wild card. He's the guy that's calling the shots. He's the play caller. He is the one that has been up and down through 3 years in Cleveland, starting off by winning NFL Coach of the Year and following it up with 2 straight losing seasons. but not having stellar quarterback play and still getting the most out of Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett. So for that reason, I am inclined to believe that Kevin Stefanski can do a good job for the Browns. But everyone wants to talk about Watson and whether or not he's going to bounce back this year and he's the wild card. I don't think so. I think it is Kevin Stefanski that is the wild card. So, do you believe in Kevin Stefanski? Y for yes or N for no? Let me know down in the comment section. Now, I want to share this quick quote from Deshaun Watson that I think you guys might find interesting. I don't want to return as that guy when asked about getting back to his time as a Houston Texan. I want to be better than that guy. So what I was 3 years ago, I'm not that same guy. I feel like I've evolved to a new level, and I'm ready to be able to show that. We have all spent the entire summer talking about, can Watson get back to what he did in 2020 when he led the NFL in passing, 4,823 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And it's kind of refreshing to hear Watson go, I don't want to go back to just being that guy, and that's a great guy to be, no doubt about it, but I want to be better, right? I want to improve from what I've been before. And that is a really, exciting thing to hear Watson say, I want to build off of my heights, not just settle for them. Now, last year, Watson did not have a glamorous statistical season, 1,100 yards, sub 60% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But I stand by, we saw some great throws from Deshaun Watson. There was some questionable play calls, and ultimately, the offense didn't change from Brissett to Watson because it's difficult to change an offense 13 weeks into the season. But now we're going into the season where the entire offseason has been structured around number 4. So let me ask you this question. What is more likely? Watson had 3, 4 fluke years in Houston where he wildly overexceeded, and every single time he woke up in the morning after Sunday games, he'd be like, I don't know how I did that yesterday. I hope they don't catch up to me. Like that one movie, I think it's like not The Rookie, but the kid for the Cubs who like hurts his elbow and then just like throws a fastball a bazillion miles an hour. Yeah, I don't think that's what happened here because it's either Watson was a fluke for 3 to 4 years or he had one bad season last year. I'm more inclined to believe that if one of those was a fluke, it's probably the one that just had 6 games of sample size versus 4 years of sample size. So for that reason, I am a believer that Deshaun Watson is going to regress and get back to where he was back in 2020 and improve from that rather than looking at 6 games from last year and believing that's the man Deshaun Watson is, right? That's the kind of player he is. Not the 4 years that we watched him in Houston. No. Just that 6-game stretch he had after missing 700 days of football. Does that make any sense to you? I don't think it does. I'm going to lean on the side of the 4 years of body of evidence to believe that's the kind of player Deshaun Watson is. Now, next up on the show, we are going to run through my final 2023 record prediction. You guys have been asking for it with the, all the transactions and all the roster moves and whatnot over the last couple of weeks and months. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of run through each game and start handing out wins and losses. Now, before we get into that, I thought you guys might find this interesting. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But I wanted to share with you guys a little sneak peek behind the Browns Report subscriber analytics. And you can see we picked up 22,283 subs in our lifetime. And the last 7 days, we had a really good jump, and then things kind of plateaued a little bit. But what I want to show you guys is what's going on over at the Bengals channel here at Chat Sports. Now, they are very, very small compared to us, and they've actually kind of declined as of late. So let's kind of step our foot on their throats here, and let's not just beat them on Sunday, but let's make sure we're beating the Bengals online in every facet possible. Because their fan base on Twitter is rabid, and they are delusional. They think that the NFL has them pegged as the 32nd best team. No one is saying about that about the Bengals. We're just saying stop being broke bitches and get an actual practice facility. So let's beat the Bengals breakdown and subscribers even more. I also want to give some quick Twitter shout outs to everyone who shared our video over on Twitter yesterday. Josh, Cam from Canada, Billy's an MVP at this. Take some notes, everyone. Joshua Miller, Tony the Jackhole Pirate King, Ray Bidding, Browns Astronaut, Adam Bennell, Talkin' and Grubbin Media, Shane Zavala, and then Ryan Chowdhury, Jake DeRoos, and Mark Stevenson. You guys are just MVPs, always interacting with me on Twitter, so I wanted to show you some love as well. But hit me up on Twitter and share our content and tag me at Matthew Petey for a shout out on a future show. Now let's get into the fun stuff here, which is the 2023 schedule. Opens up at home against Cincinnati, then the Steelers on the road, then the Titans, then the Ravens, then they bye back home against the 49ers. Look at all those home games, by the way. Then the Colts and Seahawks on the road. And then moving on to the second half of the year, Cardinals at home, at Baltimore week 10, followed up with a home game against the Steelers in week 11. Week 12, they go across the country to Denver and then the LA Rams the following week. Back home in week 14 for Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Justin Fields returns to Ohio to play the Browns with the Bears. Week 16 at Houston, another game against the Texans. Week 17 on Thursday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. And the year rounds up in Cincinnati against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, just like how it started. So with that being said, let's jump into my game-by-game record and schedule prediction. Starting with the Bengals, week 1, I've got this down as a dub. The Bengals, somewhat historically, it's not a very big sample size, but under Joe Burrow, they have not gotten off to a very quick start. Look at the last year. They started off 0-2. I suspect the Browns kind of jump on top of Cincinnati and pick up a win. Week 2, Monday Night Football. I can't wait for this game. I'm excited for the week 1 game, no doubt about it, but I am just rejuvenated thinking about the Browns, reminding the Steelers of a changing of the guard that's coming in the AFC North starting this year with a win against Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. Week 3 against the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to mark this down as a win, but this gives me Falcons vibes from last year. Remember around this time in the schedule, we were like, win. No, Atlanta's not going to be any good. I'm a little nervous that coming off a big climactic road Monday Night Football game that the Browns might be overlooking a well-coached Mike Vrabel squad. Week 4, unfortunately, I've got Cleveland dropping this one at home against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think Baltimore's going to be very good this year. Lamar looks to be happy, and he's got a lot of weapons, and he's got a good OC. So the Ravens definitely are a team to watch for, and I think this is going to be a game where after a 3-0 start, the Browns come kind of crashing down to earth a little bit. Now, we're going to get into the rest of my record prediction in just a moment, but today's show was made possible thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. That link's right there. Promo code Browns125. Once you put that in, they're going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. So in layman's terms, let's say you deposit $100. Well, they're going to match that $100, and then because they love the dog pound so much and hate the Steelers, they're going to give you an extra $25. Now, a fun bet you can put some money down, Deshaun Watson passing touchdowns total, over or under 24.5. I'm going to go smash on the over right there. It's happening. There's just no way. Come on. Smash the over with me. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. Week 5, the Browns have an early bye, which sets up a nice long preparation for the 49ers coming to town. And I'm going to say this is a loss, actually, for San Francisco in Week 6. This game is going to give me the heebie-jeebies, right? You're coming off a bye. Stefanski last year off the bye had that ultimate meltdown kind of game in Miami. This is probably the moment where ESPN Cleveland and Tony Rizzo and the whole cast and crew are getting lots of calls about firing Stefanski, only for Kevin to go, you know what? Let's follow this game up with a win in Indianapolis against the Colts because the Colts suck, we're good, and we are not going to fall down to their level. Week 8, This one's gonna scare me. I think it's major trap game vibes. I'm not a big believer in the Seahawks this year, but going on the road to the Pacific Northwest, they're going to be talking about a different brand of football out there up in Washington, and I just think this is a game that cross-country after a long, after a road trip, not really a road trip, but going on the road to Indianapolis, go out to Seattle. This one, just kind of pencil that down as trap game vibes. Week 9, they come back home and take on the Cardinals. That should be an easy win. Week 10, they go to Baltimore, and they split the series, knocking off the Ravens on the road. Now they're starting to build some momentum. Week 11, they've got the Steelers at home. Mark it down as a win. So the Browns now on a 3-0 march here, going to Denver to play Russell Wilson and the Broncos. I'm going to put this down as a win. It's a very important road stretch here because they go from Denver to LA while staying on the West Coast the entire time. The Rams, they are going to suck this year. And this is going to be not vengeance for the Browns-Rams game didn't happen recently, but I'm just more pissed at the Browns-Chargers game from SoFi like 2 years ago. This is just vengeance against SoFi Stadium for me. So mark it down as a win, a 5-0 stretch after losing to the Seahawks on the road. But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. Week 14, maybe kind of a look-ahead-ish game where they're like, we've won 5 games, big you-know-what in the locker room. At home, we got the Jags. Maybe Trevor Lawrence comes in and surprises the Browns. Week 15 against the Bears, this should be a win in my eyes. Week 16, they go back to Houston once again. This should be a win. Week 17, Thursday Night Football, revenge for the meltdown last year. Mark it down as a win. And then to round out the year, having 11 wins at this point, the Bengals pick up a home win. I don't know what this does for Cincinnati, but it does give the Browns their 5th loss of the year. So the Browns go 12-5 in my updated record prediction. Let me know what your record prediction is for the Browns, though. I think my initial one was 10-7, and I have just gaslighted and jazzed myself up to the Browns winning 12 games this year. Because go look at previous NFL, like go to Wikipedia, go look at previous NFL playoffs. There is always a team there that no one really saw coming. This year, I think it's the Browns, and I think they are going to win 12 games. To wrap up the show, we've got Tyler Smith behind the camera. Smitty, which card would you like to go with?
Might be one of my last times doing this. We're going to go 7 of clubs.
I think this will be the last time until the offseason.
Until the offseason.
Yep. 7 of clubs?
7 of clubs. Yeah, simple, little abstract.
This might be, this is going to make me cry. 7 of clubs. I'm going to go ace of diamonds.
Okay.
3 of diamonds.
Ooh.
I feel like this one has hit so much. So
Yes.
much. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy your weekend. And we're going to be back, by the way, throughout the weekend, but most importantly, for a watch party on Sunday, 30 minutes before kickoff. Make sure you tune in, and we'll see everyone then.